Hey, y'all, it is Yvonne from Brooklyn, baby, your system strategist for Black women professionals, mompreneurs, and multi passionates in law, medicine, and education. And today it is story time. I introduce to you Essence. She is me. I recognize Essence as the result of a coaching exercise a few years into my entrepreneurial journey. She is my person, the one meant to represent the people that I wish to serve. My people, hence me. In part, Essence represents who I am now and who I thought I would be. In this exercise of conceiving my ideal client, it felt very counterintuitive to me. But I worked through the process, and Essence is who emerged. And that was a revelation. I struggled with the notion of an ideal client because I didn't understand the science behind it, the why. But what it feels like is someone I can relate to and with, like myself, and who is more familiar, right? So once I came to that conclusion, I focused on what her problem might be and how I could provide a solution. So therefore, I introduced myself slash essence. And I chose that name to represent the diaspora of Black women in the trails we blaze and the paths we leave behind. Now, picture this. Remember when you were little and you couldn't wait to grow up because you had no limits on what you could think, do, or be? Remember? Once upon a time, much like all of us, Essence had big dreams for herself. She grew and evolved, moving through the world, following the traditional path of success. You know the one we've all been told. It checks off all the boxes and meets the stamp of cultural approval, where you get the Ivy League education and the debt that comes with it. You get the good six-figure job right out of school because student loans, and you progress where you get married, you have kids, do all the things women are expected to do that makes them successful. And with each iteration of yourself, you blossom into that new identity, first as a wife and then as a mother. Now, don't get me wrong, and here's where I had fun with this. I had to imagine what Essence's life would be like. And this is where we differ because I have none of this. She is happily married. Her husband's name is Marquez. He's an entrepreneur in his own right. He went from 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship full time. They have beautiful pre-tween twin girls, Alicia and Keisha. And Essence wants both of them to be aware of all their personal and professional options and choices. And while she is fulfilled in her job and her career is on track, there's that nagging tiny little thing in the back of her brain when she realizes her identity revolves primarily around her family and her profession, and somehow she got lost in that sauce and feels her essence slipping away. And when she has a moment or two alone with herself, and moms, you know what these moments are like, where you just kind of lock yourself in the bathroom, and when they knock on the door, you just stay very quiet. So maybe they think you're not in there. And you can have a few minutes to yourself, just to woosah and exhale. And in those moments, you may even feel guilty for thinking about, okay, what's for me? Where is there space for me? What's next for me? How can I have some of what I've given everyone else for me, for myself? And this is the part where I remind you and her, all of us, that it is natural to have and acknowledge those feelings. So you don't have to feel like you're alone and you don't have to feel guilty about it. So now what? Now she's at a certain age, maybe 35, 40, 45, depending on when you got started, it still reaches that same milestone where you start to reflect on your life and you think you would have done this by now, or you would have been here by now, or you would have accomplished a certain thing by now. And they might actually feel further away than when you were younger and just knew you would have the tiger by the tail by then. So you, I, and Essence figured by the time we reached a certain age, you would have this thing or that thing, or you would have had certain accomplishments or reached certain milestones. Here is the part where I encourage you not to be too hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up about it. And to remind you that just because you're not where you thought you'd be doesn't mean you won't get there. Time is relative. Now, as I like to say, and I blame it on Confucius, shit happens. Life happens. Life be lifing. Things can fall by the wayside. They can get pushed deeper down into our soul because life, or just simply get lost in memories. And that is when that gnawing begins. This is where I recognized myself in essence. And that had me shooketh. This intersectionality of where you meet your business and you find the just how intertwined they are. And if any of these perspectives, pain points sound familiar, if you felt any of these things, I just want to remind you, you are not alone. Now, if there's anything that feels like it's on the back burner of your life, snatch that thing off the shelf, and dust it off. Give it give it life. And this is where what I do as a systems strategist comes into play, is applying those same systems and processes in business into your life. We already live with systems, how we do things, what we do, why we do them, when we do them. All of that is system related. And if that is a sticking point, whether it be in your business, in your life, because the principles will work in both aspects, in your business and in your life. If you have sticking points where things are not progressing, if there are stumbling blocks, if there are gaps between where you are and where you want to be, I highly recommend you review the systems that are in place in business and in your life. And for that, I would love to invite you to book an A to Z operations strategy session where we would take an overview of your business through my three-part framework to assess what you have, build in what would fill in the gaps, and then create a cohesive ecosystem that's going to allow you to operate in greater ease and with less stress. So, for that, the link is in my bio, whether you're Instagram or LinkedIn. The link is in my bio. Um, I only have one spot left for this week because this is the end of October at this juncture when I'm recording this. So again, it's a strategy session where we take 2 hours to go through an overview of your business, and I walk it through my three-part framework to assess what you're working with, build in the things you need, and then create your ecosystem. And those systems and processes are going to give you the structure to be able to operate with greater ease. So again, I've got one spot left for October 2023, and you can find the information for the link in my bios. And I truly hope you have enjoyed story time today, and I look forward to working with you very soon.